and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to another one of my videos, which again is focused on the topic of divine partnership, divine relating, and our twin soul path. For those of you who really feel called and in resonance with the sacred path, which is actually the path of our inner harmonious self, of our divine feminine and divine masculine side of creation, joined in sacred union. So in this video, I really want to talk about the deeper flow of masculine and feminine and some of the distortions that were present on this planet, and how we, and especially those of you who are in the path of being an illuminary, in terms of focusing on your self-mastery in order to really activate and integrate this twin soul path. And then how are we actually doing this one by one? So at first, I really want to begin by saying that I have a beautiful mastery course on mastering polarity and twin soul consciousness. And I also have an advanced 8th group soul consciousness level course where I talk about also the nature of divine partnership. So if you want to deepen this as an integration of your path, I really recommend these courses that are always available on my page to get fully activated. So let's start today. So I really want to talk about this twin soul path, what is about, because I've shared with you so many times that there's so much distortion and so many illusions that are being shared on this planet regarding this path, because a lot of people are confused. They don't have the sacred remembrance in terms of really mastering their own self enough that they could have the degree of understanding what this really means, because it's a huge responsibility. To be on the path of a twin soul luminary is not the same as getting coupled up with someone that we believe is our twin flame, with a certain energy that they bring for us at a certain level. I will go deeper in this and the nature of our multidimensional ascension, where we, with each level being activated, which is a simultaneous process. It's not linear. It's not from A to Z, but it's actually a process where we start emerging. And as we actually get acquainted with these different parts of us, what happens is that on each level there's a certain mirror being presented to us so that we can deeply integrate by merging with that essence within us. And because we're doing this on a physical level, and because in terms of relationships we're one, and we're doing this also on a planetary level, we're getting onto this path through relationships. And this year and specifically is so important for divine partnership and relationships of all sorts, and the deepening of our knowledge and what it really means to relate to one another. Because in the past there was a lot of misunderstanding, and we believe that relationships are supposed to be karmic, and everybody now is talking about resolving mutual karma, resolving our karma in terms of our relationship. But this is not where our path as cosmic masters ends. For most of the people, this is where everything actually begins, because they have been plugging into this matrix that has been propelling our evolution through the cycles, the recycling of our many different belief systems that we have actually taken as our own, but they're not really the true knowing, which is based on our white mother light, the Christos energy that are always available to us, that birthed all of us, which actually implies the infinite and eternal resource of energy that is always at our disposal once we break free from all of that matrix and all these belief systems. So for those of us who really feel we're being called to this path, we don't feel this just as this enthusiasm to be in a relationship or a certain kind of partnership that we believe is right for us, but we feel this as a responsibility to ourselves, first to own our personal mastery, and then to deeply serve on what's happening on this planet. So the twin soul path, because many people don't really go deep enough as to what this is. They talk about this. Many times when I do this research, I see people still talk about it in terms of healing the mutual karma, when the truth is really is beyond this. It really is beyond this. You can start this journey by believing that it's about karma, but as you will transcend these levels, you will feel there's much more about this. So the true nature is, if you can understand and imagine what we believe about angels. So when we talk about angels, we basically talk about our own angelic self. So this is the androgynous nature of our perfectly balanced polarity. You know, the infinity symbol is always in flow. So we feel like sometimes we don't know whether to call angels masculine and feminine because they do embody both essences. They have completely merged. And that's why we feel them as beautiful light beings. And this is kind of where we're going in our ascension, where a lot of the humans are moving towards when they first need to break free from that which they perceive as karma and experiencing karma in these partnerships. So a lot of the twin soul information, which I've shared with you online many times, I've said this to you, it's very, you know, you have to be very watchful and very observant at what you incorporate, what you take in as your own, because a lot of the people are still not knowing of what they're speaking about, because this knowledge does not come from their inner planes. It doesn't come from the ethereal planes where their soul basically has this mission, which propels them to share this. But basically, they just gather bits and pieces from the World Wide Web, gather it together in a certain soup of knowledge, and they share it. And a lot of it is really distorted. So there were a lot of distortions that began to take place as we humans started entering the frequency of the fall. And as we experienced this as the fall, there was a lot of distortions playing out as a representation of that physically on our planet, which began with priesthoods. You know, there were many different priesthoods that were infiltrated, when there was a lot of, you know, the distortions that took place back then that still affect our collective grid. And this is where we still are tuning into those belief systems within collective consciousness. So just recently, I've seen a video from a beautiful sister of light, and I think her channel is called Sacred Mysteries, and she spoke about this. And she said her message that came through was a lot about these distortions when they were in ancient priesthoods that began there in Egypt and far back, that people were actually coupled together in a wrong way. So basically, what that meant was that there was a divine authority that wasn't really a true divine authority, but there was a authority that came from the outside. And this is still being played out right now, because when you look at the nature of the wide web, you will see that there's a lot of people who are calling themselves twin soul councils, or, you know, people who say that they can tell you who your twin flame is, people who say they can verify it for you. It still comes as an external authority, which will cause disruptions in your light body, how it translates into your physical, because it won't really come from your inner sovereign. It really won't come from your personal self-mastery. And these are topics that are very touchy for some people, because they don't want to hear about those things, because they would rather go about, you know, to these topics in terms of just this superficial layering that really doesn't really get us to what was really taking place, what's been taking place on this planet for eons and eons of time, and how we can collectively, by those of us who have this knowledge and sharing it, and those of you who know this as well deeply within your soul, how can we not fix this, but how can we actually start a new cycle through embracing our own inner master and sovereign. So as I was watching this video, as I was tuning into the information, I had goosebumps all over my body, because just that one weekend before, I had a dream, and the dream was about me also being, you know, it was actually an archetypal dream. It was a representation dream, but it was very simultaneous alignment with what the woman was talking about. So in that dream, I was supposed to have a husband that I was assigned to, but I didn't feel that person as my husband, so I was always avoiding that person. And when that person wanted to initiate contact with me also in terms of, you know, the sexual nature, I said, no, you know, I won't do that, because I just couldn't. Because simultaneously I felt that I belonged to someone else, and although that someone else was not a part of this circle that was just somehow there, I just felt this calling, and I was drawn to this person very naturally, which is the nature of our knowing, which is magnetism and electricity, to two primary forces of the masculine and feminine, which together they create chemistry. So this is the triangulation energy that becomes a physical manifestation. It's how stars are birthed. It's how everything in creation actually, you know, even our physical birth, when we conceive a physical child, is very much the same. So what happened was that, as I didn't want to, and that person kind of touched me on that sexual spot, and I felt how they want to manipulate me through the sexual energy, I kind of withdrew myself and I ran away. While simultaneously there was a female figure involved as well, and she said, let's take care of you, because you're obviously not feeling well and you're sick. And she wanted to, basically, she wanted to do some kind of a witchcraft on me, and she wanted to perform something that would manipulate my energy field. So I remember that part of the the dream me lying down somewhere, and she took her fingers and she touched my basically my female parts. And she, at that moment when she did that, I knew that she's manipulating me, and she had this bottle of something that I knew was something that she wanted to use or whatever. I don't remember so well, but I did like this with my hand. I kind of I kind of broken that bottle, and I ran away again. That was one part of the dream. And then the second dream, there was almost like a continuation. I have this beautiful self-mastery portrait of the beloved frequency that I came here to embody, which I called my personal aureon frequency signature of the golden illuminary ones. So what took place is there was these beings that, you know, they were kind of trying to put that picture at half. So they wanted to separate us. And they kept telling me, it's for your greater good, it's for your greater good, don't go for that boy, he's just a boy, you know. And they kept telling me what decisions I'm supposed to make. And you know, the woman, there was this woman being, she kept, you know, with scissors putting my picture apart, putting my portrait, which was the exact replica of the portrait that I really have hanging here in my room, which is my basic, my sacred space. It's everything to me, you know. It's how I internally activate and integrate, embody this frequency, this essence of who I truly am and my core creation self. So as I saw this, I was devastated, and I was trying to put and assimilate the portrait back. And she only cut me out of it and wanted to just put just me in the frame. And I said, no, 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 it's not just me. And she kept telling me it's for your greater good. And on the dream was very devastating for me, because I found this tiny part still of my complementary counterpart. And I took it, I said, well, I still have it. I still had a tiny bit and representation of it, and I put it somewhere in my wallet or something like that. So then I don't remember so much the dream, but it was very much in alignment with what the woman was talking about, because as these distortions started to take place, the external outer sovereignties, which weren't really our true sovereignties that come from our I am presence, started to get involved with our own process and started to manipulate the sexual forces between man and a woman, which are really in divine in nature. So you can also know this as in certain royal families, they have these fixed arranged marriages, because they also put certain couplings that they believe are going to be in service to them, not to the service to the whole. And they kind of have their own agenda and manipulation as to what this is about. So there's a lot of confusion out there. First of all, there's a lot of people who say that doesn't exist at all. There's some people who talk about it as it exists, but it's very attached energy. It's based on desire, so that you constantly desire your twin flame as something that's outside of you, and you so deeply crave for something that will fulfill you and will be something so magical that you will definitely have the ability to call your twin flame. That is why I don't use these words, because not that something's wrong with the words twin flame, because they have become so deeply distorted, and they have become a part of the belief system that we now have, that a lot of the beings have taken as their own. So how to get out of this? Firstly, we need to understand what's the whole nature of this journey of the flow of the masculine, feminine, and perfect balance, to as it was back in pure Atlantis, when the era was still pure, we were created as these pure counterparts, and this energy was constantly seeded and used for the greater good. The moment that we start to take energy in terms of using it for power, using it to serve a certain specific agenda, instead of just being and sharing love, creating the sacredness of the flame that each counterpart holds as in within themselves. And I've shared this with you before, that when we talk about masters being the initiates or the carriers of a certain flame, this talks about the essence of that master themselves. It doesn't talk about that they had a physical flame or fire, but the inner fire that they develop by developing their own personal mastery. So as we start to get away from our power, we will start feeling very weak, and we want to be told by others what this part is all about, what this path is. It's our path. What is a twin flame? Who is our twin flame? And we want to have that verified. And you know, people do these twin flame readings, whatever, whatnot, but these are still, you know, aspects of us putting our power away. And then we have this eternal cyclical nature of this just repetitions of that being played out. So how to transcend this is basically how to ascend the ladder of spirit by becoming aware and really following this that we know as a journey, as a twin soul journey. So the journey back home, that we start walking with our own inner awareness that we will deeply develop, and then through these sacred partnerships that will start to flow into our life, then starting to embrace more and more of that, those essences that need to become, they need to return to us also in the physical level, because we came here to do this work on a physical level. So what we basically distorted in a way by taking back our sovereignty and our own personal mastery, coming back to restore it. So, how to do this in relationships? So, the first way for many people will be, and that's why they feel they're so deeply drawn. And when they describe the nature of the twin flame, which is just the first level of understanding when they begin their awakening, they kind of feel it as can't live with, can't live without. They say these twin flame relationships are too intense. You can't be with them. Rather be with the soulmate. So this is the first typical understanding that many people kind of stumble upon, and they kind of stay there because they believe that is something that is so hard and so difficult to pursue, because basically that's just their inner integration that hasn't yet fully mastered itself. So they feel very much drawn to a certain person that they call them their twin flame, because they have a work that is first their inner work that they have to do, and that person is just an energetic representation on the outside that they basically need so they can start their journey of healing. So that's just the first level. So in the beginning, that first entanglement will happen through these dissolution of these belief systems that come through these karmic ties and belief systems. So then later what will follow is we will start to first integrate the self. So every kind of work that you do has to be done through your own internal soul dynamics first, getting acquainted with it, doing the inner work before we can start entering the partnerships, which will be really our reflections that will kind of show us which essences we need to integrate. So moving then to the soulmate that we can call our soulmate harmonious partnerships, so that we can get to the root of what is our core creation self. And this is where we do truly find that inner twin soul essence, because it lies at the very depth of our core creation self. So we first need to know our own creation self, and we get, in these steps of integration that will flow through these people that we say, this are twin flame, and maybe the next few years we think this other person is our twin flame. Basically, these are just aspects of us. So when there's a person that we feel so magnetically drawn to, they actually are a representation of our internal dynamics that hasn't yet been embodied. So each of these beings that we have these contracts with will be, if I'm a female, they will be a representation of my inner male, and vice versa. So a lot of people share already about that. But what's there more deeply is that a lot of people will be on this journey alone for a while, because we need that. We need to first master that internal dynamics, because we have, those of us who are luminaries, we came here to disintegrate this old, and we first need to be aware of what is that old, what is the false, what is the disrupted, what is the distorted matrix, so that we know then how do we plug away from it so that we can create a new. So the first level is always your own mastery. When you will start to get acquainted and presented with different relationships, you will know that what you're really being presented with is these archetypes that you're meant to embody. And that's what every single person that's so deeply coming into your life at a very specific period, very specific cycle in your life, you will feel like, ooh, a sense of destiny. I'm so destined to be with this person right now. And for those of you who are growing so fast, you will feel like you're shifting in these relationships so fast, and nothing's wrong with you. It's not that you're changing your mind, that you're being crazy, or you're jumping from one to the next. That's not the same. It's not to be confused with people who really have, internal confusion and they don't know what they want. What I'm talking about is spirit presents you with a relationship, and a lot of times when the energy within that, when you're with these essences will be incorporated and integrated within you, you will grow, you will evolve, you will expand, and at a certain point, when you will outgrow this cycle and these two people will maybe part ways, you will feel neutrality. It will feel like everything has integrated itself. It will feel neutral and beautiful. So this will mean that the work with that being for your essence integration, that particular cycle will be complete. How will you know that? Because how will you know it's that the energy will usually shift from enthusiasm and desire and all of that passion into just a neutral flow. Not in every case you will part ways with that person. It's just maybe the relationship will be in transition from being romantic, and very sexual, into more harmonious and friendly, like, for example. But what this means is that Each of these relationships will be presented to us in specific divine timing for us to integrate the essence that we need in that moment. And they will be what we will feel our twin flame, which a lot of people would call it like that, in that specific time. That's why a lot of people are still feeling a bit doubtful about whether someone they can call like that or not. And the moment you start asking this question, the answer is already obvious. Why are you asking the question? Ask deeper. Like, what is the essence that I'm integrating while I'm with that person? How do I feel? Are they bringing up more of the aspect of peace, of balance, of cooperation? With a lot of people, you will notice you will move through these waves of something you haven't even been able to do yourself. And then when that person will come into a relationship, almost magically with them, with their assistance, that thing which you maybe felt before was almost irreversible, you can't move through it, will be so easily transcended because you have a contract with them, almost like climbing on the ladder of spirit. So don't get too jumpy, don't get too hasty and calling every single person you meet. And although you might be so enthusiastic about them, you don't understand on a mental level the the degree of that attraction that you feel for them. Your soul is always magnetically attracted to what you need. Also, this means that don't doubt your attractions, because a lot of people might think, oh, these are weird attractions, I'm supposed to be focusing on something else, why do I feel this desire? Don't question it. Ask your deeper feeling, what is it really there? Am I drawn to this person, and why? What's the reason in terms of the inner feeling? Not trying to rationalize it, because we don't get all the understanding through the analytical ways. So this path is an intuitive path. It's a path of returning home in terms of integrating all the essences of who you are, so you can master and empower all of your multidimensional essences as a cosmic master. So what this also means is that each relationship will help us. A lot of times we feel like certain people have wronged us, or we feel angry at them. If we still feel certain kind of feelings, it means there's still integration work to be done. Maybe what happened with that person because maybe they're not ready. Maybe they can only come to a certain degree with you, and then they will shift. And maybe another person will come that will deepen that. It's all about how you feel, how you, as a master in the making, are going to move through this, and embracing that the first work you need to do is within. And then when relationships will be presented to you, you're doing the coupling work. So as you know, everything first begins with our inner source. Then you have the Vesica Pisces, the two within, the one, they will create a third energy. And from there on, as we will become these masters, we will start to work more in group soul consciousness level, because we will master how to be in partnerships without these belief systems and without these pluggings into, I want that person, I need that person, I want to be loved, why don't they love me, why am I craving for them? Instead, acknowledging in that mutual reception the gift that we bring to one another, and then feeling, how are we actually activating each other? It's always both ways. So the true healing, which is the return to our wholeness and completion, is when we will acknowledge both sides. We will see what's taking place from both ends, not just our own, because if we're doing that, we're still really not moving deeply enough into our integration. So our inner female and male, why is this happening through relationships, is because on a physical level, sometimes we do need these mirrors, because we created this whole world when we are fragments of the whole. So through becoming fragmented and then climbing back into deeper communion, which is from fragmentation into more unification, again, the pathway back will be through the relationships. So the more you will be able to hold that light of understanding, you'll be able to work in partnerships and greater groups as well. Beyond that, oh, my attention only needs to be with this person or that person. But what this means is that your energy within this process, when you are integrating your internal male and female polarities, will always go where it needs to go. So if you find yourself at a specific time a bit different than what you felt maybe just a week ago or a day ago, I don't know, it will mean that the energy within you shifted, and you really need to learn to observe these energy currents, because these waves and spirals, which basically again are feminine and masculine sides of polarity of creation, and how they're integrating themselves through you because you're the vessel for the work of spirit, And when you observe it, you will see that the energy will always move towards the greater potential. If that means that another relationship is on the horizon for you because you've moved deeper, maybe another person hasn't yet. But it's not about being selfish, but it's about you knowing where you are because it's your work. And although we are contracted to do these things, we never were contracted to wait for others or hold a space at the deprivement for yourself, which means that it's not a kind of sacrifice that you need to now be where others are so they can be comfortable enough for them, but to do your work, even if you feel maybe another hasn't yet. But it is really about you. Once you will acknowledge this and trust this feeling, you will really become a master of yourself. So the only way you can know your core creation self and know your twin soul is by really, really coming to the root of your being. And that's where a lot of people only recognize their partial twin flames, which they perceive as such, because they haven't yet fully stepped into the totality of their whole being. And beings who probably have, they don't seek for a twin flame, and they probably don't recognize every person they meet as that energy. They recognize parts because everybody is bringing us these beautiful essences which we feel so familiar with, but probably not on all levels. So what this means is that with each relationship we get, there will be light body merges taking place. People talk about it only in terms of when twin flames are doing this work, light body merges. This takes place in every one of those relationships, basically, because in truth, it's about our mastery. It's about our own personal sovereignty. So as we will take that component and own it, there will be a sense of, wow, there's a light body merge. And when we go through these periods, or we go through these energetic assimilations in a way, we will feel maybe a bit more restless. Our body will need more rest. If you're with another person and feel restless or you can't sleep, I sometimes experience that. It's your body because it's assimilating this merge, because you're coming into this merge. So the only thing you can really do is be observant, just feel the energy. Where is it now? Are you enthusiastic about this? Are you sad about something? Are you not liking something? Are you not communicating freely? Are you basically feeling that energy is neutralized now, and then what's next? Just really, really being in the flow of the moment instead of making assumptions that will create more distortions, because our mind has created so many distortions through plugging into the mind of the matrix that we haven't really been capable of to knowing what's the truth. So we've assigned these roles to these different people that we believe they need to play in our lives, instead of just knowing that spirit is the only communion that we can have. The crucial point when you come into this realization, you will see that basically spirit is the source of all your knowing, and it will show you in each now moment that's the truth. So how to go through this assimilation naturally? It's by following the energy, as I said, these currents, waves, and spirals. So when you're enthusiastic, when you're maybe more balanced, when you're integrating, and just flow. Just flow with every relationship, not chasing our path, or like people sometimes say, chasing the twin flame or the runner syndrome. Why are you even needing to run? It's the only feeling that created this, and the running is because we are mentally pursuing something that's actually the pursuit of the heart. So then we have these aspects that we call, wow, the runner, or why is it like this? Why doesn't that person love me the same way? Why are they not into me? All these things, is we make it the physical. We see the physical. What's really taking place beneath, very few people are ready to look into, to be honest. So as you resonate with this, you're probably one of those people who really feel that you're here to do this work, because when you become your sovereign and luminary, your mastery will bring you everything. It will bring you the knowing that you need. It will bring you the courage to break free from that which is manipulative, as I did in my dreams. It will give you the courage to really stand so tall in your truth, even if that truth is, I haven't yet met my physical counterpart on all levels, and I'm fine with it, because you have first your inner master, remember, the job to become this on your own. Because the moment you give only a partial part of yourself to another so you can be with them in a normal rate, or to satisfy someone else, or to satisfy the status quo, or to be married just because everybody's getting married in physical, or things like that, rather move into the essence of why you are here as your inner creation self, and allowing that the beloved path permeates you from everything that you are, you speak about, you represent, you basically emanate, you radiate as your luminary self. So not chasing your path, just following through with awareness. So the basic nature for us is, for those of us ascending physically, is to become as those angelic beings, the beautiful androgynous beings of the equal matter, a flow of divine masculine and feminine flow of creativity, and really uniting on every level. And when we have those relationships that are still, getting us to the core of that root, which is why for us who are in this twin soul luminary path, we'll feel like people will come and people will go very often, and that's a part of this path. It doesn't mean you're, no one's good enough for you. It's not about that. It's about you really becoming the whole of you, not stopping somewhere and compromising because this is not where you end. And that's why it is so important that you, if you're in this path, you start deeply feeling this. And you will know this by resonating, by feeling it so deeply in your heart and, your higher mind, and on all levels embracing it. Like the woman in this beautiful video said, that this is a higher mind, heart, and gut connection. But what we do in the end is we merge it with the white column of light. In the end, we're nothing but the white light. And when the white light permeates through us with grace, then we just know what we know that we know that we know, if you know what I mean. So this is not for everybody, and that's why I'm guided to create this course on the multidimensional nature of our ascension, which will probably cover all these aspects. I don't know yet when, but it's up in the market, it's up in the making here, and in divine timing, of course. I also would like to share with you that this company made me an app. So they made an app for my Ascension Pioneers and Serapina Light. You can watch the videos on the app. You can get a link on my Serapina Light page. It's on the right side menu. Also, if you go into the YouTube channel where there's my info, all the links that I have provided in the info section, you can find the app also, the button. And those of you who are Apple users, then you can get the app. Myself, not unfortunately yet, but this is something maybe for those of you who really like the videos and like to follow them, to have a deeper access to them, maybe also on your phones or iPads. So this is a beautiful unfoldment for the beginning of this year. I really feel this whole year is a lot about partnership and us just deeply moving into this theme of intimacy, but on a deeper level, especially for those of you who are in this luminary path of self-mastery and the understanding of your twin soul as in becoming masters of polarity and all life in creation. So consider taking the courses if you're more deeply interested in this, and ask me any question that you still are not fully aware of, always on my email that I provide on all of my pages. I wish you such a beautiful time. Today is a beautiful day of 11th of January, so 11/1st, which is a beautiful day to start this. The year starts usually with the first lunation, the first new moon, which is our first new beginning. And for a lot of us, this feels like a totally blank slate. And that's why it's so important for us to start building our new structures beyond these belief systems that we used to still plug into, and that we research where are we still plugging into without feeling guilty about it, but just becoming aware. So I'm sure I will make more videos on that topic as I'm presented with through spirit. Enjoy yourself so much. Have a beautiful beginning of this period, of this new moon lunation. I'll talk to you again soon. As always, so much love, wisdom, and power. I love you all so, so much. And thank you for supporting, donating, and of course, subscribing. Bye-bye.